Good morning, guys. Appreciate you guys coming through. Let's get into the word. I am in Proverbs chapter 3. We're going to read verse 5 and 6, and it says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to him, and he will make your path straight." Yesterday morning, I was at an event where it was a retreat for men, which I have been speaking about this since I put up a video on Friday night. And we're going to have our last service on that subject this morning in my church. So don't forget to check the link below so that you guys can watch it. There was some great teaching and preaching throughout this event. There was some good fellowship between some of the guys, and there was about 100 plus men in there. So it was a great event. Our main pastor, Roberto Candelario, spoke about different things that we needed to incorporate in our lives, things that we needed to believe and trust. And one of the things that I took from everything that was spoke about, from all the preachings that we had two other preachers, Bob Nichols, and we had Javier, who was another pastor from one of our sister churches here in Florida. And they spoke about favor. They spoke about the difference between favor and a miracle. One of the things that Bob Nichols spoke about was about believing and trusting in God, and also how not to put God in a box, which this was a preaching that he did Thursday, but he brought it up as he was preaching in the past day or two. There's so many things that were brought up and so many things that were said that I have been incorporating in my life since I decided to rededicate my life with God. So it was pretty awesome to hear it again, because it's just giving me confirmation that what I was told to do from the very beginning, I decided to make the change. It is still true. It's not that I was trying to be doing things because of my feelings or whatnot. It was something that I actually heard from different people as I was trying to make this change. And yesterday's event just confirmed it. There was something that he said that actually I have it right in front of me that I kind of like, because I've been mentioning it to you guys over and over again. And it says, "The renewal mind lives with an awareness that sometimes God wants to do something through you and not for you." I mentioned to you guys in previous occasions that sometimes whatever you're going through might not be for you, might be for someone else, and therefore you don't need to know why is it happening. You don't need to be upset about why me. Just trust that God has a purpose of what you're going through, and that he's going to see you out of it, and out of that situation he's going to glorify himself. And he mentioned that yesterday, and it is true. It is true. I have been talking about that, and I believe that some of the things that we go through in life might not be for us, might be just to get our resume going, so that way we have all this experience that we can pour into someone else who needs to hear it, in order for them to realize that, you know what, I was able to do it, but I didn't do it by myself. I did it with God, and by the grace of God, I'm here today to talk to you about it. So that was one of the many things that were brought up yesterday. One of the things that I took in was the change. You need to change your way of thinking, which is something I've been struggling with, and something that I've been trying to take time and understand how to change something that I've done for so long in the way that I've been doing it. And I've been trying to surround myself with positive things, positive people, and just be positive overall. Now, sometimes we can't do that all the time. Sometimes there's things that happen, and we're human and we make mistakes, and God knows we make mistakes. Just this week's been tough for me. And rather than me go to the Word and practice what I've been preaching to you guys, I fell into the pity party and feeling sorry for myself and being unhappy on what I was going through. And I just started to wallow in my situation and wasn't acting Christian-like because I was upset. But I spoke to God, I apologized, and I asked for forgiveness and asked Him to just overall help me to become better in that aspect. And throughout these days, they were talking about it, and it's so true. The way that you take things, offense is going to come no matter what. That's going to happen whether you like it or not. It's a matter of how you look at that offense. You are in charge of your feelings, and you're in control of how you want to act based on, your emotions or your feelings. And just because you were hurt for whatever reason, or something was said out of context, or you took it the way that you took it for whatever reason, doesn't necessarily mean that it's supposed to make you feel bad about yourself or make you act a certain way. You're in charge of that feeling. You can change your way of thinking. You can just say, hey God, you know what? This was this way. I took it this way. And I don't know if it was that way, but you know what? I'm going to look at it in a better way. That's a way of going to change the way you feel about something. And I went through that in this week, and it was frustrating, but nevertheless, I asked for forgiveness, and I moved forward. And in these last couple of days, I learned that you have to change your way of thinking. You have to change your way of thinking, and you have to ask God to help you along the way. But you have to make the steps. And I started thinking about the book of that I've been reading of T.D. Jakes. In T.D. Jakes' book called Let It Go, he talks about how we're so quick to overreact or even react when we feel like we're being taken advantage of. He says that in the very beginning, when he first started out in his ministry, he was trying to make enough money to get his own building, and things were not panning out. But nevertheless, he did what he was called for, and he trusted it was going to happen sooner or later. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, he gets this invite to go into this big event where he gets to be a guest speaker. Now, he was excited about it. This is his first big event. There was going to be close to 1,000 people, if that. And they told him that that he could bring anything that he wanted to sell at the event. So of course he talks to his church, and he tells them that we need to gather up some materials so that we can sell at the event, and we can use it towards our building. So they get excited. They start doing everything and anything they need to do to get it done. 2 days before the event, they get a phone call from the the promoters that told them that they needed to sell their stuff through the library. I believe it's the library. Yeah, their bookstore library. And it's going to be a 25% off the top. So, he's like, what? He couldn't understand that. And he started looking at the numbers, and that just didn't make any sense. He was like, we're not going to make anything. We're not going to get anything. We're just not. But he went and did what he was supposed to do. He preached, did what he had to do. And after the event, he spoke to the promoters, and the promoters told him that wasn't something that they can control, that it was the venue, and that's just the way things work. When you use a building that is not that you don't own, that it's a building of the city or whatever, you have to, off the top, the venue charges this and that. So because it was something that he was not used to, he didn't argue it. He still felt the way that he felt, but he didn't really have the information he needed to actually make a big deal out of it, because he didn't know if that was it or if that was not. So what ended up happening was that they ended up just taking the loss. And nevertheless, he just did what he had to do. So months later, I believe, he got another invite. And this time around, it was going to be in a church by the same people. And again, he talks to his congregation. They go through the motions and they start making tapes and they start making cassettes, and they bring everything they can to raise money for their building. And you can guess what happened next. They get that phone call telling them the same thing. T.D. Jakes is upset. But he goes and does what he's supposed to do. He preaches. This time is a lot more people than before. And after the event, he goes and he talks to the promoter, and he gets all bent out of shape. And he starts arguing with him. How is it that you guys are going to charge 25% on the top? I don't understand this. You guys are taking advantage. And he goes on, and the guy that's looking at him, in the book, the way he describes it, he's surprised that basically someone that just got out of the podium and was preaching and is ranting and raving. And he's upset. T.D. Jakes is upset, which he's within his right. He feels that he's being taken advantage of. And he mentions this in the book. And to his surprise, the guy that was in charge of the event comes out of nowhere and he says, "Listen, I don't want to argue with you. I just want to tell you that your sermon really touched me. The message that you gave to the people really touched me, and I feel though as I should be a part of your ministry, and I want to help you in possibly getting you on TV. I feel like God is calling me to help you." And he stayed quiet. He heard the sincerity on the guy's voice, but he was in awe that he said that, but he didn't believe that he was being honest, even though he heard the sincerity. Now you got to think that that's what happens to most of us. We're so quick to jump into how we feel about a situation that we might be thinking that we're being taken advantage of, like he obviously was. But let me go back to what I just read. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. This is what he needed to apply to himself at that point in time. This is what you need to apply to yourself at the time that you're being hurt, or at the time that you're being taken advantage of. Because like I said before, offense is going to come whether you like it or not. It's a matter of how you want to receive it and how you want to control yourself, and just don't lean on your understanding, but trust that God knows better and he's going to handle it. This guy came out of nowhere and told him that he felt that he needed to help him, and he felt called by the God to help him with his ministry and put him on TV. Now this is bigger than what he just did. And T.D. Jakes was thinking to himself, I don't have but $200 in our church account right now. I don't even have a studio. How are we going to do this? How are we going to do what he is saying that he claims he wants to do? But again, he is trying to make sense of something that makes no sense. But this is God. This was God opening a door for him in a situation where he was being hurt, in a situation where he was being taken advantage of. So his situation was actually turning into something better. And he ended up actually making that partnership with this guy who later became a friend of him, a close friend of his, and helped him on the ministry of trying to get T.D. Jakes into TV. I mean, that's basically what you need to do when you're going through these kind of things. What I'm trying to say, guys, in short, is change your way of thinking. When you go into serving the Lord, stop thinking the way you normally think and start thinking positive, even though that the situation calls for being negative. Think positive and believe that God is going to be in control of whatever that situation is. Don't try to blow up. Don't try to make a big deal about something, because God, you don't even know that whatever that situation is could be to benefit you. Whatever that relationship is could be to help you grow, get better, and automatically not just for you, but also to glory God. To give all glory to God. So these are the things that we were learning yesterday, that they were talking about, and this came to mind because I've been reading the book, and it is true. If when you come across a situation that you cannot handle, whether it is being offended, whether it is frustration based on what's going on with your personal situation, put it in God's hands. You don't have to understand it. You don't have to understand it. Because in the Bible it says that faith comes from hearing, and hearing comes from the Word of God. So you have to put faith that whatever is happening, God is in control. And rather than blow up and overreact, let me hold up for a second. Let me trust that God is in control, and let me not jump into conclusions. Because had T.D. Jakes overreacted more than he did, or maybe just act like most of us would act, you know what, forget it, I'm not going to do this anymore, I'm walking away. He didn't. He stayed there. He still tried to argue the fact, but in trying to argue the fact, the guy still came at him and told him what he felt that God put in his heart, which in turn, hello, look at T.D. Jakes now. Look at everything that's been happening to him. So, change your way of thinking, guys. Change your way of thinking. Start thinking positive. Start walking in faith. Start believing that God has a better outlook of what He has programmed for you than you do for yourself. He's not going to reveal everything that He has in store for you. That's why you have to have faith, and you have to walk on it, and you have to believe it, and you have to trust it, even if it doesn't make sense. That's my message for you guys today. I hope you guys have a great day and you are blessed. Don't forget, guys, don't forget to go into the description down below. I'll see you guys in the next one.